Hello, my name is Matthew, and I finished Crime and Punishment, the Michael Katz translation of Dostoevsky's novel. Just spent some time talking about part 6, and of course, what's left is the epilogue. We go a little bit farther in time. Raskolnikov now, at the end of the book, at the end of part 6, turned himself in. He confessed to the murder. Now, 8 months, 7 or 8 months have gone by, and he's a prisoner in a Siberian jail, a jail within a fortress, within a town in Siberia. Sonia, true to her word, has followed him. She visits quite often, keeps a correspondence with Raskolnikov's family, and we get to spend some time with Raskolnikov in jail. And he's still not, at the beginning of the epilogue, he's still not entirely, he's not remorseful at all. He seems to still be bitter and depressed and delirious. His madness offered him a lighter prison sentence. He let everything out during the trial, implicated himself more than he needed to. Some of the strange decisions that he made were entirely unbelievable. He was so clear about going into the house, how he killed the civil servant's widow, how he was surprised when the sister came in, how he left the door open, finding the necklace and the keys in the civil servant's pocket, going to the dresser and finding the purse, and hiding all of these things under a stone. And his assertion, his statement that he didn't know what was in the purse, the little purse that he buried, was met with incredulity. But he gets eight years instead of a life sentence or execution, as a result of being mentally unwell. He was, as it's described, temporarily insane. There's a point mentioned how temporary insanity had its own heyday of popularity. But it was true for Raskolnikov. He seems to still be mentally unwell, and not present. He has hard labor. He's eating meatless cabbage soup with cockroaches. He's wearing rags, and he's just indifferent. He's not having any. He's not meeting anybody. He's not talking to the other prisoners. He actually is quite hateful towards the other prisoners. He likes the labor because at least he's exhausted at the end of the day and he can have a few hours sleep. He's still mumbling and grumbling to himself about this idea of the ordinary rabble and the extraordinary man, and thinking that, like, well, maybe he let himself down. If he was a better man, he would have not only gotten away with the murder, but it wouldn't have affected him. He would have known in his heart that better things are going to come. He's going to make the world make the world at large a better place for committing one single crime. And who was this woman anyway? He's still grumbling about that, and um, his interactions with Sonia are painful. He's still he's angry and bitter and not nice. And it's just horribly depressing. It's the ending of the novel is just draining, painful. And that redemption, the thing that you might have been as a reader thinking about throughout the whole course of the novel, in regards to how do we come to a resolution? How does a novel like this end? And it does seem as if we're heading towards a moment of redemption. Raskolnikov realizing what he has done, accepting it, accepting the life that he now has to live, and trying with his heart to redeem himself. And the moment that we get is him and Sonia sitting together, realizing Raskolnikov realizes, Sonia is known, Raskolnikov realizing that he loves her, and that Sonia loves him, and she's going to be there. She has forgiven him. He still has 7 years left in his term. When he gets out, he'll still be in his early 30s. He can have a whole life ahead of him outside of being a prisoner. And she's there. And he breaks down and cries. And Sonia cries. And they're just holding each other and crying. Let me see if I can find the... And then the ending... I'll read the last passage, last 2 paragraphs. He still didn't open it now, but one thought occurred to him. Could her convictions really become my convictions? Her feelings, her sufferings, at least. She, too, felt agitated all that day. And that night she even felt sick again. But she was so happy that she almost feared her own happiness. 7 years, only 7 years. At the start of their happiness, at certain moments, they were both ready to regard those 7 years as 7 days. He didn't even know that a new life would not be granted to him for nothing, that he still had to pay a great deal for it, to purchase it with some great future deed. But that is the beginning of a new story, the story of the gradual renewal of a person, the story of his gradual rebirth and gradual transition from one world to another, of his getting to know a new, hitherto completely unknown reality. This could become the theme of a new narrative, but our present one is ended. There's a moment where Sonia, who has been ever present in this prison, has become friendly with the other prisoners, and she's there. Raskolnikov is angry, and one day she doesn't show up. Days go by, and he doesn't see her. He's looking out the window. She's not there. Turns out she was sick. It was a moment of revelation. He wants her there. She just had a mild cold. It's a minor, little thing. energized Raskolnikov's mental state and his view of Sonia and his view of himself. I also love that the novel ends with this teaser, almost as if a little hint of another story following along. This character, this idea of renewal, rebirth, transition to another life. Dostoevsky also did that in the Karamazov brothers, where there's this hint that we might get to follow along with Alyosha, learn what Ivan is up to, and not Ivan, but anyway. And it just has a perfect ending for a novel like this, and to think, how on earth does something like this end? And to end with that kind of complex hope. This is like Greek drama, where you have the most extraordinary circumstances, emotions just pulled out to their limits, insanity, madness, grief, depression, astonishment, everything just pitched up to its highest form before it would just completely break into a nightmarish fever dream. Everything's pushed out. Like in Greek tragedy. And when I read a novel like this and think, you don't have to be a double murderer, you don't have to be an axe murderer to have muddled, confused thoughts, to feel like you're not special, but you really should be special. How come I'm not special? To have guilt, real guilt for maybe for something serious, but also something minor, something forgettable, something that no one ever thinks about but you. All of the accidental and purposeful ramifications for all of your actions and how they affect everyone in your life, and maybe how they affect people that you don't even realize. This novel does such a great job of illustrating big, exaggerated, highly intense situations, psychological moments, in a way that, as you read it, you can relate it to yourself. Raskolnikov is certainly not a likable character. He's not a hero or an ideal protagonist. He's not an extraordinary man. And there's moments, even still, there's moments in spending time with him that the connection, the perverse interest in following him along, maybe rooting for him, is because there's something relatable there. There's some connection from any reader to an axe murderer. So, just an incredible, towering, incredibly entertaining, engaging novel. It's emotionally draining. It's depressing. There are moments of humor. Great characters. Every character is so full of life. It really feels like they inhabit a world that they go to off screen. When they leave the page, they feel that real. stories of their own. And it's fabulous. It's complex and just great. I mean, Raskolnikov, what a man. If you've been reading along, if you've read it before, if you've been following the videos, all of those kinds of things, please leave a comment. If you would like, let me know how I did on the read-along. So please leave a comment if you would like. Thank you for watching, and take care.